everybody, it's April coming to you from the SavvyUrbanista.com. I am here to reveal my thoughts and opinions on the Instapot. I was fortunate enough to receive an Instapot for Christmas. Shout outs to Jackie and John for the wonderful gift. And I got a really cool cookbook to accompany it. So I just wanted to go over basically my initial reaction and how the food came out when I made it. I did two great dishes. I did beef stew. Was the first thing that I had made. And then I did chili, which anyone who knows me knows I make a spectacular chili. So I had pretty high standards. So let's just get into my initial reaction of the Instapot. So, okay, when I got the Instapot, I was excited. Obviously, I was out of this world excited. Could not wait to use it. And I got this. Let me show you the cookbook that came with it. So this is the cookbook that I got with it. Thank you again, Jackie and John. And I was so excited. It's the #1 Instapot cookbook on Amazon. And it literally has any and everything that you could possibly think of that you might, this is just I don't know if you can see it, but just pages and pages of recipes. Anything, sauces, all there in here. So I picked a beef stew because I knew it would be fairly simple to make and inexpensive to make. It's not, hard to go buy some sirloin and chop it up with some potatoes. So that was my first thing that I decided to make. Let me get a sip of my cocktail. Bourbon and ginger ale. So anyway, a girl's got to have her cocktail. So anyway, my first thing that I made, so when I opened the box, anyway, let's get into when I opened the box, sorry. I opened the box. It comes with the Instapot itself, a couple little plastic utensils, a little spatula thing. I use it when I saute, a ladle, and this little rack that you use when you steam things in it, because you can do everything in here pretty much. You can make yogurt, you can steam, you can saute, you can slow cook, you can pressure cook, you can, I think there's something else I'm missing, steam, and make rice. You can do any and everything in this thing. It's fantastic. So I get all my ingredients ready. Jimmy helps me. He's my sous chef. Jimmy's my husband, in case you didn't know. He chop. We're chopping away and everything like that. Follow the directions. Put everything that's supposed to be in there at that time. Turn it on. And told me to hit the soup button, which confused me because I was making stew. Why not use the soup setting? I don't really know. I just follow directions. Hit the soup setting. It cooks the soup. I'm supposed to make the tomatoes. No, tomatoes? Tomatoes don't go with soup. Potatoes. Put the potatoes on the side, boil them, and I also sauteed some mushrooms because I added some mushrooms in there because I love mushrooms, and Jimmy hates them, but he can pick them out. He's all right. So I make all of that, and then I get to the end of it, and I'm supposed to rapid release. Make sure you know the difference between rapid versus natural release. Natural is when you just basically cook something and you have time to let it sit there until the release just happens naturally. Rapid is when you hit this little lever and it releases all the pressure. Well, I thought that I knew how to do rapid, so I hit the lever and the pressure never went away. The button never went down to tell me to open it, and it was just added a whole nother 20-30 minutes. So I was Googling and all this kind of mess. Come to find out I just never hit the lever over hard enough. So I pushed the lever over harder, and it started sputtering, and the pressure came out, and I was able to open it. Ta-da! So I opened it, and I started cooking the stew. I did the next steps, which were to add cornstarch and potatoes and stuff like that. And then the recipe said, hit the manual button. I don't have a manual button on mine. I have the mini do well, to be exact, in case I didn't clarify that, which is 3 quarts as opposed to 6 or 9. I think they go to 9 quarts or something like that, which I love. I have the mini one. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't have a manual button, and I have to bring this puppy to boil. It has to come up to boil. So I just hit the soup button again. So this is a tip for you guys. Hit the soup button that I had originally cooked it on, and it continued to cook in it. It actually I was able to bring it to boil and finish my stew, which came out good. Flavor was great. Meat was tender. In the future, of course, I would put my own little zhuzh on it, but I didn't want to mess with the recipe too much because I was new to this, not true to this. So anyway, I didn't want to, do too much. So I really enjoyed the stew. It was a little thinner, and I'm wondering if I cooked it on the stew setting, would it have been a little thicker? I don't know, but I did add a little cornstarch to thicken it up like a stew, and that seemed to help a whole lot. So it was whatever. So anyway, it was great. So I was like, all right, what am I going to make next? So I decided to make chili in it yesterday. And I use my standard chili recipe that I use, which is on the blog if you want to check it out. And one thing that I have to tell you guys that I love about it is the saute feature, because you don't have to take out a pot or a pan and saute your meats and your aromatics on the side. You can do it all in there, and then you don't have to lose any of the flavor, and you don't have to clean a pot or a pan. So that's fantastic. And so when I made my stew, I sauteed my beef and my onions, and when I did my chili, it was turkey chili, so I sauteed the ground turkey in batches because it's a smaller one, and onions and garlic, and then I just added everything in there that I put in there, beans and all that, seasoning and all that kind of great stuff. Put the lid on it, hit the chili button. 30 minutes later, fantastic. I mean, it tastes like it had been sitting on the stove because usually I cook it in my big, what is it called? I can't even remember the name. It's not a stock pot. Dutch oven. My beautiful Dutch oven I cook it in usually. And it takes, at least it takes a couple hours for it to really simmer and everything like that. And this came out and it tasted like I had been cooking it for hours and stuff. It was really good. Like, even my husband's like, babe, this is really good. So I'm definitely sold on making chili and stews in the Instapot. The next thing I want to make is an Indian dish called Indian butter chicken. And I'm excited to try that. A couple things to keep in mind, just that if you're going to buy the mini, that is perfect for like 1 to 2, maybe up to like 3 people. But just realize that some of these Instapot books or recipe books or cookbooks, shall I say, the portions are made for the larger Instapots. So what I realized is I needed to scale down the recipe that was in there in order to fit into my Instapot. Because when you look in there, there's a line that tells you your max that you can fill it up to. And I was like, oh my God, I'm hitting it. So, I added less potatoes and things like that. So just keep that in mind. One tip I read that I thought was a great tip was you could buy a second insert for it. So if you're going to make multiple dishes in it in one night or one day, you can just make your first dish, pop that insert out, and put the next one in there and go on ahead. They also have like plastic lids you can purchase so that you can just put that over there and pop that whole thing into the refrigerator, which I think is super cool too. And I'm trying to think. Let me look at my notes about anything else that I wanted to tell you guys. I think that's pretty much it. I think it's a really good investment, especially for for anybody, but especially if you're like on the go and you work, but you like to eat good food and you don't want to order out all the time and things like that. It's excellent for that, especially if you're into, like, I love rice, so the type of dishes that you make in there, a lot of them are like things that would go over rice and stuff. It's perfect for me because I love rice and things like that, and I love Thai food. You can make curries in there and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's definitely a great investment. I think it's something that I will definitely probably use once or twice a week. Probably the next couple of weeks I'll use it more than that, because when you get a new appliance, you're like, yes, you cannot wait. You just want to use it because you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So I'll probably use it 3-4 times a week for the next couple of weeks. I'm sure it'll slow down a little bit, but I think I'll always stay consistent with it 1 to 2 times a week. Just because it's just, like I said, it can do so much. And I am a lover of a crock pot, but you can't saute things in your crock pot. You can't take the lid off the crock pot and continue to cook your dish in the crock pot. Like, there's so many things you can't do. But I still hold my crock pot near and dear to my heart. Or my slow cooker, shall I say, because I don't have the actual crock pot brand. But I'm very excited to just, learn and experiment with new things with the Instapot. But just word of wise, just familiar. Give yourself a learning curve. Okay, it may take you 1 or 2 times to use it to get really comfortable with it because it's something different, And also, just make sure that you read the directions, okay? And try to read up on it as much as you can and read tips on it and things like that, because it's a little different than other appliances I've used. But it is easy. You just got to read the directions. So anyway, that pretty much sums it up. I hope that I answered anybody's questions about it that they may have. And I hope that everyone has a fantastic New Year's. I am so excited for 2018. I am excited about the SaveYourVanessa.com to be more consistent this year and to post more great, fantastic content. So I hope you guys have a safe and wonderful Happy New Year, and I will talk to you next year.